Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonus.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonus. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
All right, with us today is Jim Jordan, the chairman
of the House Judiciary. We love that.
He knows what's going on in Judiciary. Well, Mr. Chairman, give us an update. What the heck is going on?
Well, we had a big markup today on this sanctuary city bill, which would stop this crazy practice. So think about this: 18 cities, 11 states, 3 counties, the District of Columbia are in what's called sanctuary jurisdictions. But the population of those, because they're big cities and they're big blue states, it's almost a third of the country lives in a jurisdiction where left-wing political leaders, if you can use the term leader, left-wing political folks put in place policies that say local law enforcement can't work with federal law enforcement. So we passed legislation today to stop that. Good bill. And understand again, what happens is you'll have someone who's here illegally. They commit or charged with some crime. They're in custody. Federal law enforcement will send what's called a detainer to the local jail, to the local detention center, and say, hey, if you're going to release this individual, give us a heads up. Just call us and we'll come apprehend them. We'll come get them at the jail versus having to go do it in the street. And last year, 17,864 times a sanctuary jurisdiction would not do that. They instead released that same individual to the street and made ICE go round them up on the street. That is how stupid this policy is.
And how many crimes did those 17,000 people commit, and how many people did they hurt?
Great point. Several. We think thousands. We don't have an exact number, but we think thousands of those individuals went out and then committed some crime and harmed someone. And in our bill, we create a private right of action and say if that happened to you or to someone in your family, you can bring a cause of action against the government that allowed that person to be released and then caused you harm.
How about being able to what some of the people are trying to do to the police department, make them personally responsible? Well, why don't we reverse it on them and make them personally responsible? If a judge lets somebody out that shouldn't be let out and goes out and kills somebody, then that judge should be responsible.
Well, the judge in Milwaukee from last year, the judge who let the bad guy go out the back door when ICE was coming in the front door to apprehend them, that judge is facing a criminal prosecution for that action.
Yeah, she helped him.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have Judge Weinberg with us here. Let's see if he defends.
A real judge.
Yeah, true judge.
Mr. Chairman, good to talk to you again.
Good to be with you, Judge.
So, I agree sanctuary cities are bad public policy. They're dangerous. They're against public safety. I also believe they're absolutely, positively unconstitutional. But the question I have for you, after it gets through the House, and I'm confident you'll be able to shepherd this through the House of Representatives, what's the likelihood of success in the Senate that pass this law?
Yeah, we will see. I do think, again, when you think about the fact that slightly over two-thirds of the country aren't in a sanctuary jurisdiction, local law enforcement is happy to, when asked by ICE to just give them a heads up, they're happy to do that. I mean, local law enforcement works with federal law enforcement all the time on so many matters, and many places will set up what's called a 287G agreement where they will agree at the local level, we are going to assist ICE. We have a working relationship, a good agreement where we will assist you in this with dealing with detainers and a host of other things. So I would hope, but this is the Senate, and right now there's a bill over there that says you should be a citizen if you're going to vote, and you should show photo ID if you're going to vote, and that doesn't seem to be able to get 60 votes in the Senate. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Chairman Jim Jordan, one of the things we had on yesterday, Senator James Langford, he had a great line. Where he said, sadly, that the Democrats hate ICE more than they hate Iran. I mean, it really seems, I can't even imagine what you guys are dealing with. when you have folks there that they seem more concerned whether ICE has a mask on or not, versus the mullahs.
Yeah, I mean, look, the tragedies that happened in Minnesota were just that, and we never want those kind of things to take place. But this environment that's been created in sanctuary jurisdictions where and the rhetoric from the left, I mean, and I think it's think about ICE agents. They've been doxxed, they've been tracked, they've been sworn at, they've been screamed at, they've been spit on, they've been injured, they've had death threats to them, death threats to their family. All that's happened to them. And yet the Democrats say, oh, no, but we still don't want local law enforcement simply honoring a detainer notice from the federal government. No, we don't want you to do that. It makes it's literally one of the dumbest policies I have ever seen, but that's today's left.
Rita,
Tony Carbonetti.
I think 90% of the time now when you ask these questions, I'm going to give you the same answer. You people are crazy. I mean, he was so right when he said that. Your thinking is so backwards if you believe that.
Right. Well, they couldn't stand up for the Medal of Honor recipients.
If you believe your first order of business is not to protect the American people, why are you there?
Yeah, and also, by the way, Chairman, too, yesterday you guys had that big hearing with Tim Walz. And Tim Walz did the Sergeant Schultz defense. He was like, I know nothing, and he was presented with such, I was watching your questioning. You were masterful, by the way. You did a great job, but he was like, wouldn't even admit to anything.
Well, the court took the unprecedented step of issuing a statement from the court, press release from the court saying the governor is saying things that aren't false. They did this a couple years ago when the governor tried to mislead the taxpayers, mislead his constituents, and mislead the country on why they restarted this program that had been shut down because of all the concerns, the audits, the whistleblowers coming forward and said there's big problems here. They shut it down. They restarted, and the governor tried to blame it on the court, and the court issued a statement. So I think the underlying reason, of course, is why the governor did that, why he lied to his constituents, was because it was the politics. This was the Somali American voting bloc, a key voting bloc for the Democrats. They were threatening a racial discrimination lawsuit if they didn't restart the money, and they said, we're going to restart the money, but we're going to blame it on the court when that was not true.
And the other thing, when I watched part of the hearing as well, you made the point, when you're against fraud, how does that make you Islamophobic? I just don't understand.
No, it's if you don't let me steal from you, you're racist.
Right. I mean, it's absolutely preposterous. And how do they sit there with a straight face, taking an oath of office to protect and defend this country? The Attorney General, Ellison, the Governor, Walz. I mean, have they no shame, finally?
Yeah, well, the left, I think we've talked about this before. I always say the left has a template. The left will tell a lie. You can pick your lie, but the left will tell a lie. The big media, mainstream media, will report the lie. Big tech will then amplify the lie. And when you tell the truth, they call you a racist. And that's the template used time and time again. But the good news is the American people aren't racist, and they've figured out the game the left is playing, and they just don't tolerate it anymore. And we're seeing that, I think, more and more, where people push back on all that.
Well, thank you for being the voice of reason and common sense, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Good to be with you all.
Keep
up the good work. Take care.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.